Hey guys, and welcome back to the Four Corner Sports Podcast. Unfortunately, we have some news today as our co-host and one of our best friends, Cooper Fry, will not be joining us today. He's going through some serious stuff at home, and he will not be here today. But we do have a guest. Even though Cooper is an irreplaceable, we do have a special guest today that's going to give you a breakdown on our UFC segment, and we have Christian Fields coming in today.
How you doing today, Christian?
I'm doing great. I want to say I appreciate you guys having me here, and I'm looking forward to a good show, and I'm going to give you guys everything I got on this UFC segment.
Sounds great.
Let's hear it.
Alrighty, so this weekend, as many of you UFC fans may know, we have UFC 290. Okay, we got two championship fights. We got Jalen Turner versus Daniel Hooker, Robert Whittaker versus Robert Duplessis, Brandon Moreno and Alejandro Ponteña, and Alexander Volkanovski and Yair Rodriguez.
Sounds like some great fights.
And you're going to have some betting picks for us for the bettors that watch this podcast as well, right?
Absolutely. I want you guys all to know I don't condone gambling. But do as you wish. Do as you wish with your own money.
Do as you wish.
So, first off, we're going to start off with Jalen Turner versus Daniel Hooker. I don't have the odds pulled up, but I'm about 100% sure it's a pick'em fight due to the evenness between them. So I think this is probably the most even fight on the fight card, with Jalen Turner being a very big dude at 6'3" with a 77-inch reach. And then Dan Hooker has beaten some good fighters, and he's also been very close to beating great fighters, such as Dustin Poirier and Arnold Allen, when Arnold Allen was on that 11-fight win streak that he had. When he fought Islam Makhachev, arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter right now, with no shame. But to be honest with you guys, I think Turner's going to take this one. He's just a sniper with his hands, and his kicks are just through the roof. And I think Turner gets the job done on this one. And then so next we have Robert Whittaker and Duplessis. Robert Whittaker being a -400 favorite and Duplessis being a +300 underdog. It's a middleweight bout, and it's a special one, so I can't wait to see it this weekend. Duplessis has been talking about a big game, saying that he wants to become the greatest fighter of all time, stating that he thinks it'd be cool to be a champion and have a belt, but all those things come and go. And when you think of Duplessis, he wants you to think that he's the best fighter in the world. He's very effective, but he's also a very sloppy fighter at times. He does get very tired very quickly, and the harsh reality is he seems to find a way to come out on top with 19 wins and only 2 losses. 19 of those wins, we have 18 finishes, 8 knockouts, and 10 subs. So as we see, he's very versatile. Now, granted, this is a very big step up in difficulty. Robert Whittaker is the best middleweight. That's just a fact. Under Izzy Adesanya, obviously. Whittaker's full package when it comes to MMA. His kickboxing's fantastic. He wrestled for his country. He's got black belt in jiu-jitsu. I mean, his accolades can go on and on. I think Duplessis' sloppiness leaves too many openings for Robert Whittaker to do whatever he wants to do to him in that fight. And I think Robert's going to take that fight because of it. I just can't find a reason to pick against him. So for that one, I think Robert Whittaker is going to be a -400 lock. I wouldn't do a straight-up bet. I'd probably put him in a parlay. But as I said, I don't condone betting. So
I think we all agree with the Robert Whittaker pick.
Fields, I have a question for you. Who is your favorite UFC fighter, like, of all time? Like, who's your favorite?
And why?
Yeah, and why?
I think it's a very generic answer, but simply it's just going to come down to Conor McGregor. I like his swagger. I like his style. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to find a guy that'll get up on a stage and tell you to suck his big nuts in front of millions of guys. There's really you just can't find someone like him. It's through the roof. Well, who's your favorite fighter, Zane?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't watch a lot of UFC at all, but I like that Dustin Poirier guy, just strictly because he was just talking hella mess to Conor McGregor after he beat his ass. So I like that. So do you have any thoughts on that fight too after Dustin Poirier won?
You can definitely tell Conor was in some pain, but Dustin has evolved as a fighter greatly, and I think that's been very evident. His multiple championship runs, he always seems to get the job done. It's hard to pick against him. So,
thank you, Christian. Now we're gonna be moving on to Brody for his Detroit.
Whoa!
Oh, I'm sorry. We are not moving on to Brody. We have 2 more fights to go.
All right, bro. It's just I gotta ask you, who's your favorite fighter?
I gotta go with the Black Beast, Derek Lewis. I became a huge Derek Lewis fan. What's so funny, Zane?
Nothing.
I became a huge Derek Lewis fan after he knocked that Russian motherfucker out, and then went on the show afterwards. Took his
Joe Rogan.
took his pants off and let everybody know that his balls were hot. That's when he became my favorite fighter. Tommy, do you have a favorite UFC fighter?
I like Izzy when he made fun of that one guy's kid.
Oh.
Like when he pointed to the stands and fell backwards, making fun of him. I don't know. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was his get back for that guy making fun of. I think the kid made fun of Izzy, and then that's extreme level pettiness that we love. And we're gonna go back to Christian. To finish this off.
Finish this off, Christian.
All right, so we got the co-main and the main event. So for our co-main, we have Brandon Moreno and Alejandro Pantoja. Brandon Moreno is a minus 195 favorite, and Pantoja is a 165 underdog. So the backstory between these two, for those who may not know, Pantoja has beaten Moreno twice. Back in 2018, he beat the brakes off of him. He was just way more aggressive. He fought, and then Moreno fought such a closer fight back in 2016 on The Ultimate Fighter. But we all know that The Ultimate Fighter is a much different fighting environment. But when you take 2018 Brandon Moreno and compare him to 2023 Brandon Moreno, they don't even look like the same people. It's unrecognizable. But with that being said, I do think that Pantoja fights with his quickness and the angles he takes. And my goodness, if he hits him to the ground, he just eats his opponents alive on these submissions. He just locks onto an arm or a leg, and he's just very quick, very similar to Charles Oliveira. And on his feet, he's unorthodox, which makes him so unpredictable, and that's why he's just so effective. And he just has the confidence that's off the charts, and that's why I think he's here in this title fight position. He has absolutely no respect for Brandon Moreno, as we've seen and as he's demonstrated, which is bad for him personally, because I believe that could allow him to walk into something very early in the fight that could end it, such as just something straight to the noggin. But if that doesn't happen, I hate to say it, as much as a Brandon Moreno fan I am, I think Pantoja wins this fight. He's done it twice, and I think he gets it done the third time too. So for all you betting,
You going for the 3-0 sweep?
for all you betting gurus, I'm gonna take Pantoja at plus 165. So that's my lock.
I got a question. Can you explain to the viewers that don't get the big difference between the UFC and Ultimate Fighter? Can you explain the difference in fighting environments in them?
So in the Ultimate Fighter, what you have is you have two separate teams. Okay, so you're going to take two big fighters. So right now there's an Ultimate Fighter series going on. It's Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor, and they have these like draft of poolies essentially, and they each get to draft fighters based on looks, previous fight history, stances, all that, and then they fight each other, right? So you could be fighting 3 times in the span of a month, right? So which is just not the same, right? You don't get the same preparedness. You don't get to fight. You don't get to prepare for 8 weeks on a training camp and then go fight someone. You're fighting someone on a 1 week notice, and it's hard to train that week before the fight. You're cutting weight constantly. It's just not the same environment compared to when you're in a UFC fight, right? You're signing that contract. You got a 12, 16, 22, 26 week camp ahead of you. And you're working on your opponent's angles and what you're going to take on them. But that's the big difference that we have there.
Thank you.
Christian, I actually have another question for you. So I was just wondering, what got you so big and interested into UFC? See, for me, I'm a really big Tigers fan because I just remember my dad. I always watched with my dad. My dad always had it on when I was a kid, and it just kind of grew on me. So I was wondering if you were the same, or you just got into it by yourself. I wonder how's it going, or how did it go?
That's a great question, Zane. And honestly, I don't think I have a direct answer for you on that. But I say the biggest thing is, who just doesn't watch people beating the brakes off each other for $60 a night? It's just doesn't get much better than that. I always took interest early on in my life, into like boxing and jiu-jitsu, and so that was kind of where that developed from. You play hockey when you're a kid, you're going to watch the NHL. You play football, you're going to watch the NFL, right? You do jiu-jitsu and boxing, you're going to watch what the pros do, and you're going to learn. You're going to adapt. So I think that's the biggest thing for me.
I really like that answer. I never really thought about it that way. Brody?
Yeah, I'm super excited for the card tonight. I'm assuming I'll be watching it with you at my house or Saturday. Yeah, Saturday night, and it's gonna be a great time. We're not gonna lay any money down because of course we're underage, but there will be stakes on the line somehow, some way.
We do not condone gambling underage. Again, the Four Corners podcast does not condone underage gambling.
Thank you for that, Zane.
Unfortunately, I'd love to say that I'd be enjoying it with you, but I will be attending a Drake and 21 Savage concert Saturday night.
Well, fuck me then.
Yeah, I'll have to take a rain check on that with you.
Where's that concert at?
Little Caesars Arena.
Okay. And Christian, I kind of felt rude that we didn't start the podcast off like this, but how was your 4th, man?
It was horrible. I spent 17 hours of my day out in the sun directing traffic. It was absolutely miserable, but there's really no but. It was miserable. I'm very, very light-skinned for those who may not know me, so I burn very easily. So that was quite the bummer. I think I was applying 10 buckets of sunscreen every couple 15, 20 minutes. So, but yeah, other than that, it was just fantastic.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Can you sneak me into that concert?
I do not condone those festivities.
What festivities?
For those of you that don't know, our buddy Christian is a. Never mind.
He's a traffic director.
Yeah. He deals with that a lot.
Yeah, I work in some sort of safety region. The traffic safety.
You wear a little cone over yourself?
Absolutely. So, the big fight of the night. What all the ladies are telling their mamas about. Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. So, we saw Rodriguez fight Josh Emmett back in February. Dominant performance from Rodriguez. He won via triangle submission. Rodriguez is a very unpredictable fighter with such great versatility. Rodriguez knows that he won't be able to stand around or stay in one place for too long because he knows that Volkanovski will get a hold of him. Now, he is going up against Volkanovski. Well, what happened last time him and Volk fought? Or what happened last time Volk fought? He fought Islam Makhachev. A very, 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 very close fight. I understand that he lost. I think Islam won the fight, but it was still a very, very close fight. But what's most important is we have to look at what Islam Makhachev did to everyone else. He finished his last 4 fighters before Volk, to include Charles Oliveira, Daniel Hooker, 2 great fighters. Volk was able to go punch for punch, kick for kick, and was able to stand up, get taken down, stand up, get taken down multiple times. Hell, you could even make a case that Volk could have won the fight when he took it to decision. Probably one of the closest fights to have occurred within the last 10 years. No one at 145 besides Islam Makhachev will be trouble for him. Example, the next best fighter at 145 is Max Holloway. Look at what he did to Max in the 3 times they fought. The first 2 were close, but the last one was the most impressive and the most important shutout that I've ever seen in UFC history. He dominated Holloway with 200 significant strikes to less than 100, and he won in the control time category as well. Volk just has way too much movement. He's got that in and out fight style, his boxing and his wrestling. I just think it's going to be too much for Rodriguez, especially when Volk is chasing that title rematch. I think there's a chance the fight could be competitive early for a while until Volk finds his rhythm and puts the equations together to win. For example, look at Yair Rodriguez versus Max Holloway. Yair came out landing some great significant strikes, kicks to the head and punches, combos. But then Holloway found his rhythm and he took it all the way to win that very unanimous decision. So with all that being said, I think Volk takes this win. My prediction is a TKO in the 5th round.
Why was him absolutely dominating Max Holloway such an important fight in UFC history?
Because it was that title fight for 145 after Conor left the division. So, for a while after Khabib left the division. So up there for a while, it was, who's going to be the next great. And I think Volkanovski has stepped up in that role significantly. Now I know that I understand they did lose to Islam, but, like I said, Islam is probably the best pound for pound fighter right now. He's a baby Khabib Nurmagomedov. Those dudes just fight bears for fun. I mean, it's not even fair.
All right, that was a great segment from our guest, Christian Fields, and then we're going to pass this over to Zane Bowling, who's going to give us a little recap of the Tigers' season so far. You excited to talk about the Tigers?
I'm always excited to talk about the Tigers. They might not be the best this year or these past 10 years, actually, but, they're probably my favorite. They're the closest team I am to in Detroit. I just remember me and my dad always watching them, going out to games. It was the first live sports game I've been to, professional game I've been to was a Tigers game. So they always have a close place in my heart. But so an update on the Tigers. They're 5.5 games back from the Twins. They had it at 3 games back, but then the Nick Maton situation happened, and now he's sent down to Double-A, hopefully never to return. But we do have an all-star on the team, and is Michael Lorenzen. And to be honest, I was pretty surprised that Michael Lorenzen got selected. I didn't think it was going to be him at all. And I don't think he's even our number 3 right now on our pitching rotation, because he's got a 2-6 record with a 4.2 ERA, which is pretty high, and he's got a WHIP of 1.17. So I mean, that's not as bad. That's an all right WHIP for a MLB starter, average starter, but it's not all-star level. Yes, Tristan, you had a question?
I'm sorry, I don't watch a lot of it. What does WHIP mean? What is WHIP?
It is walks plus hits per inning or inning. So the 1.17, it's the average of like who gets a hit or if you how many people you walk an inning. So basically who gets on base, and it's average like a 1 person on base per inning.
Sub 1 is like really good.
Yeah, that's great. So like you're aiming probably average in the MLB is 1. So he's a little above
I feel like that's
average.
way low.
I don't know. I'm
I
pretty
feel
sure
like
it's
the
1.
average whip is like 1, 2 is what I would guess. I'll look at
Average? You think 1.1's lower than average?
I mean, that's a lot.
All right, we're going to the book.
That's a lot.
We're going to the books, kids. Well, anyway, but he's got a 4.2 ERA, which is also earned run average, and that is pretty high, especially for an all-star. And I would think Riley Green would have gotten it if he didn't get hurt, but I really don't know who else I would have given it to. Probably maybe Alex Lang or Jason Foley is my guesses. You have any guesses on who should have gotten it, Brody, over him?
I thought it would be either of the relievers we have. And the league average whip right now is around 1.3, fluctuating based off games, obviously.
Okay, so he's got a little bit. He's a little bit blocked. So his whip's better than I thought it would.
I think. My question for you is: are you hoping that since they see his all-star and maybe his good whip, are you hoping that we trade him at the deadline and somebody overpays for him?
To be honest, I kind of hope we keep him and we trade Erod, because I think we can get more value over Erod, because I mean everyone can see through that it's just and for those of you who don't know, in the MLB, every single team has to be represented, so there has to be an all-star. And Erod was hurt this year. He pitched like how many games? Like maybe less than 10, maybe 10. So it's like, so he definitely would have gotten it, and he was a Cy Young candidate before he got hurt, and that's true. He had an ERA under 2, so he was amazing. I was kind of hoping we dump him, but if we do end up flipping him, but just because it's all-star appearance, I mean, I'm all for it.
It really depends though, because we have to get a bag to flip Erod on a team-friendly contract where we have a good amount of control. We have to get a bag. We cannot underpay and undersell on him, especially if we're so close in the division. And some fans in Detroit, they're so win hungry, they want us to try and make a push for the division. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's a good or bad idea for the Tigers' future
To flip Erod?
to make a push for the division? So the opposite of flipping Erod.
So I don't think. I mean, for Tigers fans, I think it'll be good, because this city hasn't seen a winner in so long, you know what I mean? So if we make a push for the division, but the only thing I'd have to say for that is we'd have to win it.
Yeah, but even if we do win it, do you think sacrificing part of our prospects for our future to make a division now to get bounced in the first round by a team from the AL East is a good decision?
I mean, I personally would not go. I'd want to get prospects, not give up any of our prospects. So I would definitely be sellers, not buyers at the trade deadline. That's why I'm so for flipping Erod, and Erod is also he's going to opt out of his contract next year and go somewhere else. So that's why if we dump him off to another team, we won't have to deal with him opting out. Like if we keep him for the rest of the year, it's not like we're going to get him back next year unless we sign him to a lot of money.
Yeah, especially with Miggy's cap situation, this year is definitely not the year, in my opinion, that we should try and go for it. We'd have to wait until his cap is off the book, free up some cap space so we could spend money if needed to. I think, I know we're so starved for a winter here in Detroit, but wait a couple months. You have the Lions coming around. You got the Red Wings who are further along than the Tigers are. Wait a little bit, and you'll see the winner. Be patient, because we're trying to win. We're trying to win championships, not divisions.
I think what would be a good comparison to is like when the Pistons got Blake Griffin and they sold their future. We made the playoffs and it was cool. We had a good season, but then we got swept in the first round. So was it really worth it to make the playoffs if we gave up all of our assets, Tobias Harris and all that? Remember that deal? We gave up our whole starting lineup just to make the playoffs and get Blake Griffin. Yeah, and be an 8 seed and get swept.
No, we're not playing for mediocrity. We're trying to win championships.
And then we got a question in the chat. It says, it seems the Tigers suck at developing prospects. Should they just trade 3 picks for proven players? I would say no to that, only because we do not have Al Avila here anymore, which is our GM that has all those terrible prospects. We have a proven GM in Scott Harris from the Giants. He turned that Giants team into a very good winner. I mean, look at them right now. They're 19 games above 500. They're really good. I think they're first in their division.
Their team really isn't that good.
Yeah, and they're first in the division. They got Jock Peterson, which they bought from the Dodgers. But I like Colt Keith and Justin Malloy right now. I would try, and we got who do we just Jace Young? Jace Young, which is brothers of Josh Young and the Rangers. So I wouldn't necessarily go trade our prospects right now. Because if we still had Al Avila, I would definitely say let's just try to go get proven guys. But with this new guy in, if we had a new regime, I wouldn't sell any of our prospects right now.
But even if you do have Al Avila, I think the whole concept that you just assume you can't develop prospects and just giving up on them is just terrible. I think that's a terrible philosophy when you're trying to win championships. You can't just give up on prospects assuming you can't do the job developing them. And I think even more our hitting prospect development has been terrible, but ever since we got Scott Harris, Colt Keith and Jace Young have been developed significantly better.
Malloy is doing really good too.
Malloy is hitting way better. So I think from that perspective, it's just not the best idea. And then the issue with trading our prospects for proven players is the teams that want to acquire prospects are the shitty teams, and the shitty teams don't have a lot of proven players that they want to get rid of. So it really becomes a battle of what you're trying to accomplish now versus what you're trying to accomplish later, and it's really hard to balance out.
See, the one he does kind of have a point though, because when we had Dave Dombrowski, he was a GM that would trade prospects for people who are good right now, and we did really well when he was here in Detroit. We did really well. We had winning seasons every year. We got to a World Series. That's when we had Jim Leland as our manager. So it's just how do you want to do it? And as you can see now, we're struggling from that, and then after he left to the Phillies, we had Al Avila, and he never really he still drafted terrible prospects. He never was what he was supposed to be. He kept his kid for way too long. Did you actually know that Alex Avila though was an All-Star his first year? I didn't know that.
Me either. That did suck.
Yeah, he was an All-Star his first year, and then he was a steady decline from after his first year. But so Dave Dombrowski was probably our best guy, general manager we've had for the Tigers, but he sold our prospects for people that are good right now. I just wouldn't do it. I'd like to be more like teams that kind of like the Yankees, or their farm system's always good. They always draft well, and they always are going to have a good team every year in, year out.
And part of that is I'd like to see us go sign some more international free agents.
You know who I would actually look at signing right now or trading for, which is Jock Peterson. He's not having a good year with the Giants, but his bad year will be he will be the best player on this team right now. And we won't have to give up a lot for him because the Giants are paying him a lot of money. We just have to eat the salary. You know what I mean? And he might be a type of player to push us over the edge to winning a division, and we won't have to give much. We can give up like a 30th round pick that has like a pitcher to the Giants who has like a 7 ERA, like, oh yeah, I have him, we'll take his salary. You know what I mean? So that'd be like one player I'd look trading for.
Well, I don't think one Jock Peterson is going to make us win a division though. We have to do a couple of those, and they're not going to give up that. Though I know it's a cap dump for them, but they're also winning. And they're not going to just trade a player that's helping them win now if they're already winning. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier about the trading prospects for proven players is when he did that with Miggy and V-Mart, they had a starting point. Our starting point is a sub-500 team that's injured and not very good. So us trading prospects for proven players doesn't make a lot of sense because the proven players aren't going to win us a World Series. What are we selling out for? If we're selling out the rest of our future to win a division, I think that's the wrong idea.
Right. Also, if we sell out, there could be the possibility of, we probably would win the division because we're only 5 games out at the All-Star game. So we had like half the season. We could win, and you never know, like that 84-win team Cardinals beat the Tigers in the World Series championship, which was terrible. But so once you get in the playoffs, I know there's those people that say anything can happen, but for me, I'm just not doing it. I want to develop our prospects, and I want to have a team that'll be very good for a long time.
Anything can happen, but the best team wins the majority of the time.
Correct.
So you got what are your recap on Javi Baez so far through this first couple months?
Every time Javi Baez hits a home run, this Twitter explodes on the Detroit media. El Mago's back. El Mago's back. But, then they forget they forget the next 3 strikeouts he has after that. I still think he's one of the worst contracts in Major League Baseball. He's probably the worst contract and one of the worst contracts in Tigers history.
If I remember correctly, you quit calling him Javi and called him Harvey, and that clip actually did pretty well across all of our social medias. And soon after that, he hit that grand slam. Granted, he went 1 for 5, but that grand slam helped us win that game. What are your thoughts on that?
Hey, if you go 1 for 5 with a home run every game, you are a very above average baseball player.
I would take that, but I don't know if it really that pushed us over the edge to winning the game because Marisnik also hit a grand slam that game, and Torkelson hit one, and I think Vierling also hit one. But I'm not gonna just knock on this guy for hitting a grand slam. He hit a grand slam, and he's been playing better. His gloves finally coming alive. He made an amazing diving catch that should be top 10 on the SportsCenter highlight reel. Also, I want to take credit, all of us, except Fields. He wasn't here, but you could take credit in this right now. I think we. When we were dogging on Torkelson saying he was terrible, he came alive again. Torkelson's back.
You're saying us, our tiny channel, we put that fire underneath Torkelson.
We
Correct.
Jinxed him. We reversed.
Yes, we reverse jinxed him because we were saying how bad he is, and then look at it. Like he's the team leader in home runs right now.
Oh, yeah,
I think he has 12. He's on his way to 20, and I can't remember the last time we had a 20 home run guy in Detroit.
I think I was in elementary school.
And that when he said that, my heart kind of broke a little bit. All right, Brody. Well, that's my Tigers update, and I'll take us to the Lions 2023 season.
One thing. I think Javi's glove has been the best part of his game all season, and it's been really good.
Oh yeah, he's always been a good defender. Like, I think his defense is kind of overblown too because he did lead the league in errors from the shortstop position last year. And I know you're the type of guy to say that errors don't really show the whole thing. And they're an overrated stat, but to lead the league in them, you couldn't be like 30th or 29th. You had to lead the league in them, and your glove is that good.
I'm saying he was better this year.
Oh no, he's better this year, 100%.
Way better this year.
100%. He's been better this year.
The best defensive shortstop for the first month. Granted, he was hitting like 119, but.
Oh yeah, he's been better this year with the glove. I wouldn't necessarily say the bat, but I hope he keeps it up, and I hope this team wins the division.
All right, so we're gonna go from one Detroit sports to another, and we're gonna preview the Detroit Lions season this year. I'm pretty optimistic on the Lions, but I could see that the optimist side where we come in and win 12 games and everything goes great and hoopla. But I also see the pessimistic side where we come in and we don't perform that good because the roster's still not where it really needs to be. But I think I'm more in the middle. I have us going 10-7. I have us starting out against the Chiefs. I don't really think we have much of a chance in this game.
Oh no, that's a dub.
It's my birthday, so I have hope. But yeah, I don't think so either.
They're giving Andy Reid, the best coach in football, 6 to 7 months to prepare against Aaron Glenn. and they're going to be like, well, Ben Johnson this and Ben Johnson that. Well, they got Steve Spagnuolo, and he's one of the best defensive minds in the game, so I think that might be a wash.
I'm just saying the last time Jared Goff played Patrick Mahomes primetime, it was one of the best games I've ever seen, and Jared Goff came out with the W. And I'm looking to repeat history right now.
Yay. Yeah, great analysis right there. And then I actually have us dropping our second game of the season at home against the Seahawks. I think this game is just going to be almost an identical replica of last year. Besides the fact that I don't think they'll be as productive on the ground, but our secondary got a lot better, but it's still not a strength of the team by any means. And their weapons, their group of weapons, their offense is going to be atop the best in the league. And defensively, their big struggle is stopping the run, and we know how Ben Johnson did exploit teams last year that couldn't stop the run. If you can't stop the run against the Lions, you're going to have to load the box. You're going to have to stack up, and he's going to exploit you with play action and misdirection concepts to get his receivers out in space. But I think we're going to lose the game. We're going to lose the game, but it's going to be close, and I think it's going to be a really high-scoring, fun game. And then week 3, we got Atlanta. This also is going to be a really fun game because Atlanta might come out and score some points on us. I do have us taking this one. I think we rallied off because they can't stop our offense enough. But I think this fun rushing attack and their versatile use of weapons, they're going to put up some points against us. And so far, for the first 3 weeks, I got to start in 1 and 2. But I think we lose to some good teams. What do you guys think about that?
Do you think Atlanta is like in the same situation we were in last season, as in like they have a fun, talented offense, but their defense isn't there yet?
Well, I wouldn't consider our offense last year after we traded Hawkinson talented, but I consider it fun. I mean, we had Amon-Ra St. Brown and an offensive line. Tommy, quit touching the fucking mic. I'm about to smack you. And then they had the best offensive guard, one of the best offensive guards in football, Bijan Robinson, who I think is going to be a top 5 running back by the end of the season, and Kyle Pitts, who's already a top 5 tight end, who's an insanely athletic and fun guy. So I think their offense might be better than ours, or not more. They're more talented than us. They have Desmond Ridder and we have Goff, so we have the huge advantage there. But we'll see. Their defense it's wishy-washy, but they do have some talented players. And Zane, what are your thoughts on the 1 and 2 start to the season?
You know, it's a tough start, when you're playing the Chiefs and the Seahawks. I think it could go – I don't think we're going to get the clean sweep with 3-0. I think your prediction's pretty good. I think that's what I would have too.
Christian, do you have any thoughts on this, or are you going to stay out the realm of football for now?
As a Bucks advocate, I'm going to have to stay off of this.
Wait, Tristan, can I just sorry, Christian, sorry, not Tristan. Christian, can I have your thoughts on Jared Goff though for a second?
I honestly don't know who I'd rather build my football team around than Jared Goff. I can't think of a better football personality, a better talented quarterback. I mean, you could YouTube him right now, and I don't think you could find one bad thing on that man. I mean, the contract that he signed with the Rams, well deserved. When he signed that contract, the Super Bowl performance that he had, astronomical. I've never seen a quarterback like him, and I want to make that very clear. Never seen one like him. But I can't think of one person I'd rather build my franchise around than Jared Goff.
What quarterback pulls more than Jared Goff, too?
What was that fat dude's name that played for like the River Monsters and the XFL? The Hefty Lefty. The Hefty Lefty. Or Aaron Hernandez. I know he wasn't a quarterback, but he was a tight end.
Wow.
You could probably put OJ in the conversation.
I guess all these takes make sense considering your 2 options at quarterbacks with the Bucks. I mean, Jared Goff's night and day compared to both of them. So
obviously, Jared Goff is night and day. Him being the night portion. I just like when you look at Kyle Trask and you see his training camp videos where he missed that target by 13 feet. I just. Like Mike Evans would have caught that. That's how I see it. And then you got Baker Mayfield. I mean, have you seen the dude's athleticism when he ran from the cops in that video? I mean, just like watch it. I honestly couldn't tell if it was Usain Bolt or Baker Mayfield. It was the exact same person. And just my God, his dancing on TikTok. Let me tell you, that is the man that you should hide your daughters from.
Are you saying Jared Goff is the night portion of the night and day because he's black from below the waist?
I have no remarks on that comment.
Well, I thought that's what you were getting at, so I just had to clarify. And in week 4 we have the Packers.
I'm sorry.
I have us winning this game. This is actually a really scary game. We play the Packers in prime time off a short rest, so it could be, especially in a very physical game that we're gonna play against the Falcons. This could be a game that we definitely drop, and I'm scared of that. But I think we win. I think Dan Campbell, he's got the Packers figured out a little bit, and I think we rebound.
He's 3-1 against them, right?
Yes, he is. One win was kind of fraudulent, but fuck him.
Which win?
When they sat
When they
Rodgers.
had Jordan Love play at home too.
Yes.
It wasn't at home. Like it was in Detroit.
Yes.
Yeah, that I could see how that'd be fraudulent.
And we played Carolina week 5. I have us dropping this game as well. As much as I really do.
I guess considering what they did to us last year, right?
Well, I mean they got better. That's only one game, but their defense is really good. That team is, and they have a really well coached team. This is not a bad team at all. They got question marks around Bryce Young, but again, they're big, physical. They can run the football.
Is that game at Carolina?
No, this game's actually at home.
Okay. Okay.
But they're big, physical. They run the football well. And as much as I really like Taylor Decker as a player, Brian Burns absolutely ate him alive last year. And I think we played him a couple years ago too, where Brian Burns had like 2 sacks and a ridiculous amount of pressures. He's kind of got Taylor Decker's number. He does struggle with some of those super bendy, fast edge rushers like Brian Burns.
Like James Houston.
Yeah. So I think that might be an issue for us, and we don't have J-Mo back, and I think they're gonna run some press man. I don't think they're gonna main up Horn on Brown, but they're gonna double team Brown, put Horn on whoever they consider our number 2. 4 weeks into the season, and they're not throwing the ball. We're not throwing the ball at Horn. Brown's gonna be double team. Who's really gonna consistently get open and beat man? And I don't really know the answer to that question.
I guess you're really gonna just have to count on the rookies then. At that point, with Gibbs and Laporta, I mean, those might have to be the guys who go to that game.
Yeah, we lose.
What about Tom Kennedy? Tom Kennedy not getting any love from you?
I don't know how you're saying that with a straight face. Fucking Tom Kennedy. Preseason demon, though.
Hey, no.
Preseason warrior Tom Kennedy.
I'm just saying, we would not have won that Chicago Bears game in Soldier Field without Tom Kennedy. That huge 3rd and 8 catch, we would not have won that game.
Not a Kudos pick 6 or anything to put us up when we were down by 6 and they had the ball.
Nope, 100% Tom Kennedy. Put the team on his shoulders.
Is he like the first guy in, last guy out type of guy? The guy that brings his lunch pail to work? What are your analysis on Tom Kennedy?
Yeah, I mean, he's just the gritty, high-motor character everybody needs in the locker room.
Would you let him date your daughter?
No.
Why is that?
He's just too short.
So your daughter only likes tall guys?
I don't have a daughter.
Your hypothetical daughter only likes tall guys?
Yes.
Oh, nice. And week 6, we're going down to Tampa to kick some fucking Buccaneer ass, right?
Bucks can't hang with us.
The Buccaneers have a very interesting team. They got some skilled guys offensively. Their defense is actually pretty talented. Their defensive line, we'll see how that goes, but their secondary is still really good. But luckily for us, the strength of our team is running the ball. We're gonna have to run a lot more zone schemes because Vita Vea is an absolute bitch up front. I mean, he's one of the best nose tackles in the league, if not the best run defending nose in the league. And that's going to be a hard game for us because of how good their defense is. But I think we do come out on top. I think we're more talented. I think we're better coached. And I think we grit that game out. So I have us starting off the year at 3-3, not the best start. And then we're going to go down to Baltimore on a Sunday. And I don't see it happening. Not in Baltimore. They're going to run the ball. They're going to spread us out. They're going to do a lot of different things to us. And that run the ball and spread us out and then do different things to us is kind of interesting to say out loud. But I didn't really realize that until I said it. But their defense is also really good. And that might be one of those games where it's like kind of close early. And we know how bad Goff is on the road. He's really good indoor. But on the road and out in the environment, he typically plays like Jared Goff. Not whatever we saw last year. And oh, something just happened. I'm sorry, but I think that game gets dropped, and then we come back and we have Vegas at home on a Monday night, and boy, I cannot explain to you guys how excited we are for a Monday night home game. I think Vegas comes to town and we absolutely fucking dog wash them. We're pissed off from the game before, and we win this game by like 20 something. What do you guys think about the 4-4 start so far?
I mean, I feel like there's a couple games that are coin flips, but not too much to argue here.
I wouldn't argue much. The only thing I would say is I'd add a win with Carolina, but that's the only thing I'd have.
Fully understand. Fields, you got anything?
And also, I want to get Fields. I feel like you didn't give him any time to really talk about his Buccaneers versus the Lions. So I want to get his thoughts on that too. His Bucks.
Yeah. We're not worried about the Bucs.
Oh yeah, I want his thoughts on it though.
The Buccaneers are absolutely pathetic. That team lost me probably about $500 last year.
We do not condone gambling.
Oh, that
was
wasn't. Yeah, no, that was.
Lost his dad.
I lost my dad's money. Yeah, I tell you that Bucks team. But like I said, man, we got Baker Mayfield throwing parties in the locker room before the game. I think it's gonna happen. But I definitely do think the Lions probably take that game. And then we're talking about the 4-for-4, the Wendy's 4-for-4, or the 4-and-4 start.
Well, I don't think any of us, besides Vita Vea, are not gonna indulge in the Wendy's 4-for-4.
Oh yeah, Vita Vea, that's my guy. If you listen to him, he's got like 40 names. Like listen to his draft night, it's like Vita Guadalupe, Guada Vea. He's got quite a few names, but he's gonna have Jared Goff's name all day that day.
Not when Frank Ragnar's blocking him.
Hey, just punch him in the throat.
Oh, hey, he'll play through it.
I've never heard of a throat fracture, but Frank Ragnow was the first.
I've heard of it a couple times, but definitely not on the football field.
I think we're all curious if football is how that really happened, but we'll leave that conversation for a different day.
And then we have a bye, which is going to give us definitely an extra week of preparation. And then we head down to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. And this team, they're too talented. Last year when we played against teams that we couldn't outcoach and they had a talent advantage over us, we got absolutely destroyed. I'm referencing the Cowboys game and the Patriots game, right? Cowboys had a huge talent advantage over us, got crushed. Patriots had a huge coaching advantage over us, got crushed. This is one of the teams, I don't think we have a coaching advantage over them. I mean, we might have a slight one, maybe probably culture-wise, but not schematically, definitely not offensively. That's going to be a stalemate between Staley and Johnson. And then Aaron Glenn, well, he still sucks at his job.
You think Aragon's bad?
Compared to the rest of the defensive coordinators in the league, he's definitely not above average.
I disagree. I think he gets a lot of crap just because of the personnel he had last year. He did what he could, and definitely looked a lot better towards the end of the season once you got rid of that cornerbacks coach. And he just
Audrey Pleasant.
yeah, and he just had full control. And I think
Well, he had full control the full season, guys. He had full control of the play calling the full season. Just throwing that out there.
Anyway, I think with a better personnel, I mean, I think this goes with any coach in the league, but I think with a better personnel, we're going to see a lot better things from Aaron Glenn this year.
We've seen teams with significantly worse, or not significantly worse, but maybe adequate or slightly better defenses put up way better numbers. So if you can, I'm comparing him to the rest of the league, and I think it's been pretty abysmal so far. And so I think we do. I think we lose that game to the Chargers. They're just way better than us. I mean, there's not really anywhere else to put it. Then we come home against the Bears. I think just like last year, they're going to be a lot better, but I think we kind of dog walk them. I think our rebounding with Dan Campbell, I feel like, this could be statistically like totally untrue, but I feel like after a loss with Dan, we play significantly better than normal. I feel like it's just a motivation thing. He shows how much he has at that locker room. That locker room absolutely loves him. And I think they come out and they beat the shit out of the Bears. And then they play the Packers on a Thursday night. This is a Thanksgiving game. Thanksgiving games are always It feels like we're always close, and then we just can never pull it out. We're pulling it out. We're gonna sweep Green Bay. We're gonna sweep Green Bay. This will put us at 3-0 in the division, and it'll put us in a great spot to win the division and finish out the season. After a 10 days rest, and I believe New Orleans plays on Sunday, so we have a 3-day rest advantage. This is gonna be a very physical, tough game. We're going to New Orleans, and we're gonna play Who Dat Nation, but they're gonna win. We're gonna win. We're gonna come out there. The biggest weakness of the New Orleans Saints is they cannot stop the run. Their interior defensive line is horrid. They don't really have their D line in general is bad. Their pass rush is pretty bad, and I think we run away from Cam Jordan, or Ben Johnson will scheme ways to take him out of the run defense game because he is very good. And we're gonna move their D line all night. We're gonna get 2, 3, 4 yards on our double teams. Our gap scheme runs are going to be there because we'll be able to climb to the linebackers and take away their very good linebacking core. And I think
Jamal will have a bounce.
I think we win that game because of that.
You think Jamal will have a good game because it's his old team?
I'm not really sure. It really depends on how Kamara's doing right there, because if he's suspended, we don't know how that's going to go. And Kendre Miller might take a little bit of the Jamal role.
Do you think Jamal was a fraud?
I don't think he was a bad player, but if anybody thinks he's an above-average running back, I think they're just lying to themselves.
Do you guys think J-Mo's going to take the over or the under on that one?
Oh, I think we'll go with the over because the Saints' inability to stop the run. I think they're going to score a little bit. They have a great core of weapons.
Will J-Mo be back by then?
I'm not even sure.
If J-Mo's back, he's taking the over.
We'll take Henry Ruggs.
So is J-Mo going to be the first guy in NFL history to get suspended for stealing crab legs and gambling?
Oh, that was J-Mo wins. Honestly, listen, you Lions fans, I don't foresee why Henry Ruggs isn't a good pick. I mean, we all saw he's a speed threat.
On and off the field.
On and off the field. He's got deadly skill speed. The man can drink, obviously. That's always a great thing to have. Speed kills in the NFL.
And in the real world.
In the real world. We see his loving for animals.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, he's just a well-rounded guy. And, maybe when he finds himself out of that 4x4 cell, he can make it back to the XFL one day.
We're getting fucking canceled. Well, after that debacle, we go down to Chicago to play the Bears at Soldier Field. Again, this is not going to be an easy game. I mean, people are writing these games off as win. This is going to be a tough game to win. This is a game I could definitely see us losing. But I think what comes down is DJ Moore, he's going to be a beast. But I think we shut him down a little bit. I think they got to we get up early. They got to over-rely on Fields' arm, and I think we win this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think we win it mildly comfortably. It still is going to be a tough game to win. Then we have Denver at home, another game that's not going to be very easy. We're gonna know. I feel like we will know by about a week before this game or a couple weeks before this game if we win this game or not. I think it's a game we go in and we're like, well, if we lose, I see why. Or we'll go in with the mindset of, okay, let's get the Vikings next week. We're writing this game off as a win before it starts.
I think you guys smacked Denver in the PP.
So that'll put us when we win that game, that'll put us at 9-5. And after that 4-4 start, how does this feel? Kind of similar to last year, but with higher expectations.
I think so. Well, not really actually. I think last year after our 0-6 start, a lot of Lions fans were ready to just give up on Campbell. But then towards the back half of the year, we saw what he can do and had maybe a little hope for the playoffs. And I think there was a couple games where we thought we would regress back to the Lions, but Campbell always found a way to bounce back. I think this year we start with higher hopes, and I think with the 4-4 start, maybe we're a little down, but we know Campbell will do his thing and finish strong with us.
If I could predict our season, if I could make sure that Minnesota doesn't win 11 games or 10 games and has a tiebreaker, I would love for this exact 4-4 starts, a 10-7 finish. I'd love it for division win. I'd love for that to happen just to weed out some of the fake Lions fans by week 8 or 9 when we're not starting as well as everybody thinks we're going to start. So, Zane, what do you think about this 9-5 start we got going on?
You kind of had me down in the beginning with the 1-2 start, then the 4-4. But you got me back interested with 9-5. I saw it's still a great season when more games come, right?
Got 3 more, yep.
And then is the last Vikings game coming up, or did you?
Vikings, Dallas, Vikings.
Okay, yeah, that is. We do play them.
That's rough.
Yeah, that's weird.
Fun.
That is tough. That is tough. I don't know. Would you say we have a tougher schedule than last year, or?
Well, we do have. The thing is with the NFL is we do have the first place schedule, or we have the second place schedule. So when you finish second in a division, you play the second finishing team in the division of the season before. So when we play the AFC North. We play everybody, but when you play every division is designed to play a specific division in another conference. It sounds kind of complicated. So the Bears will play. So we play the Ravens, right? Second best team in the AFC North last year. The Bears are going to play the Steelers, even though the Steelers aren't bad. Or they're going to play the Browns. The Bears are going to play the Browns because the Browns had a worse record. So that's how that goes. So our schedule is naturally going to be a little bit harder than it was last season. And I think the Bears and Packers kind of balance it out. I think the Vikings, we went 1-1, so we can't say, even though they had 13 wins, they were that good last year for us because we matched up well against them. don't think it was.
That was cool.
Oh, and we're back. We're back.
Really, really sorry about those technical difficulties we had. But we were talking about how we beat Minnesota. We go to 10-5. We played Dallas day before New Year's Eve at Dallas. Team, are they a better coach than us? Probably not. Even though Dan Quinn's a great defensive coordinator, but they're way better than us. Talent for talent, player for player, they're way better than us. They're gonna kick our ass, I think, just like they did last year. And then we come home to play Minnesota. I have us losing this game because I'm kind of hoping Minnesota's at 8 wins here and we can chill into the preseason with ease. But if we do need to win to get in, I think at home we kick their ass to make the playoffs. So it's kind of like a 10-7, 11-6 like hybrid game here. But I'm going with the Lions making the playoffs, winning the division at either 10-7 or 11-6, whatever it is. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit, but I definitely can see why people would be a little more skeptical when you really look into it instead of just being like, oh, they finished the year so well. I really do get the skepticism. I'm trying not to be overly biased, but I think winning the division 10-11 wins is a pretty reasonable prediction. Thomas, Zane, can I get you guys' thoughts?
I absolutely think that is a very reasonable prediction. I think ceiling, you can flip a couple games. I think the absolute ceiling is 15, but I mean, no, not 15. My bad, not 15. Not 15. 13. Yeah, 13, not 15. My fault. Because I think you can flip the Carolina or the Seahawks game in the beginning of the year. So I think that's the ceiling is 13, but we could have a low floor too if we drop some games we're not supposed to. But yeah, I agree with 10 or 11 wins.
I feel like 13's a little high. I can't lie. I'm trying to look at the schedule right now. I guess I do see four games that I just absolutely do not see us winning, which we could end up winning. But then you go through the rest of the schedule, I could see us. I think 12 is probably our ceiling. So I guess 11's pretty high in comparison. Zane, Christian, what are you guys' thoughts on the 10-7/11-6 division win?
I think you did really well. When I did my season prediction with my dad, I had us winning 12 games, so 11's not that far off.
I honestly would have to agree with everyone else here. I think Brody is the sports guru in all of Michigan. He's got his black belt in it. I mean, just quite the guy. Can't go wrong.
Love the sarcasm. But fuck him. And I think we go into the playoffs as probably the 4 seed. We'll be the 3 seed because the NFC South will probably be the 4 seed. So I'm thinking they'll probably be at 9-ish, 10-ish. Maybe we are. If we're the 4 seed, we lose to either Dallas or Philly in the first round, unfortunately. That's just how it's going to happen. But if we're the 3 seed, that's going to slate us to probably play either Seattle, which would be that'd be a tough game. The Vikings are definitely a possibility. And I'm trying to think of some other maybe an NFC South team. 2 NFC South teams are good.
Maybe New Orleans, right?
That's what I was. Yeah, but I think they might win the division is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe the Bears, Packers, somebody comes out of nowhere and shocks us. The Giants, that would be a very interesting game because of the offensive coaching matchup. It's in Dable versus Johnson would be really fun. But I think if we're the 3 seed, we win a game, ultimately lose to a team that's just way better than us. But that'd be the first division or the first playoff win since 92, 91. Yep, because that's the year we beat the shit out of the Cowboys. And we're gonna pass the phone or the mic to Tommy for our last segment. He's gonna talk about a Detroit Red Wings line preview for the season.
Thanks, Brody. So the Detroit Red Wings are very interesting this year. I think their top 6 forwards and their top 3 defensemen are very solidified. You got your top 6 with Larkin, Fabry, Raymond, Perron, Kubalik, and I think Kopp as your top 6.
Yeah.
And then to get into the third line, because you can mix really any of those guys up on any given night to complete the top 2 lines. For the third line, I have centering either Rasmussen or Comfort, JT Comfort. I think they play very similar games. They're both big bodies. Both had a kind of a career year last year. Can both score when they need to. So yeah, I think you don't go wrong with either of those 2 on your third line. And then the other person on either wing in that line. I think you need to have both of those guys on the same line. Then I would like to see Soderblom or Bergeron on that line. Two very young, skilled players, but both of those two guys need to be in the lineup this year. And then whoever is on that third line is obviously going to be on the fourth line, where a lot of guys can fit in here. We have a lot of young talent in the Red Wings system, and it's going to be very hard to fit them all in. So just for argument's sake, we'll say Soderblom's on the third line and Bergeron's now on the fourth line. I think Veleno is that fourth line center. He's really came into his own in the league as a very solid two-way forward. Will play a lot on the penalty kill. Even though we drafted him to be like a playmaker, goal scorer, he's very, very solid defensively. And then for that final spot, I think we go with the guy that we just traded for in Kim Koskin. I think we paid him for a reason. I think he's going to make that roster. I think at some point we're going to need to make a trade to get Marco Kasper into the lineup, but yeah, that's what I have for our forwards.
So who do you think's the next man out? Obviously, that would be Marco Kasper if that's what you believe. But if he comes out and plays how we hope he plays at camp, do you think if he makes the team, who's out? And then who is your next man out besides Marco Kasper?
So I think it's got to be one of the two between Soderblom and Bergeron, just because they're still on their two-way contracts. As much as I love them, it's got to be one of those two.
It's got to be Soderblom then, right?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be Soderblom. But I hope he stays on the roster and we trade someone like Koskin or I don't even know at that point, just to make room for him. But and then next after Kasper, I have a lot of high hopes for Cross Hannes, Swede guy.
Swede, yeah.
Yeah, he played very well in his final year of juniors. I think he did some MVP over there. I don't know, or Player of the Month at some point.
Kasper won the MVP in his league, and I don't know if it was Sweden, but I know he won the MVP. I'm not sure. I don't know if he won MVP, but I know he got some sort of really high recognition, and so did Amdurius Lombardi. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he got a bunch of recognition for how he ended the season as well.
Yeah, so I think it's got to be him. I've heard nothing but great things about him.
Hey, also I've heard a lot of news on who was that guy we were looking to trade for?
DeBrincat.
DeBrincat, is that dead? Because I heard that's kind of coming back.
It's getting
now.
alive. It's coming back to life, baby.
You guys saw something I didn't then, because I haven't seen anything about it really. As far as I saw, it was dead because they wanted the 6th pick, not 17. That's why it didn't happen at the draft, and more. They wanted like prospects too, not just the 6th. So I guess you guys saw something and it's alive. I would love for DeBrincat to be on this team. I don't know what we would give up, but he's a really good player, and I would love to have him.
Why didn't we draft Connor Bedard?
That's a great question. I don't know why we didn't.
We didn't draft Connor Bedard because we didn't suck as we usually do.
We should have won the draft lottery. It's
Yeah.
rigged.
The NHL owed us one. Really, we really should have won the lottery, but.
But I think I have heard the DeBrincat's coming back to life. I'll try and show you after this show. But yeah, I've heard those rumors are coming back to life. And my question for you is, how big do you think the additions of Yamamoto, Compher?
We bought out Yamamoto.
So he's off.
Yeah, he's done.
Okay, I
Yeah.
forgot about that. Compher, Sprung, and Kostin. Can you explain to these guys how big of additions those guys are for our bottom 2 or 3 lines? Like how much stronger they're going to make them. So how much deeper we are than we were 2 years ago.
Yeah, definitely. They all bring veteran presence to help out our young guys. It's like having C.J. Gardner-Johnson to help out Kirby Joseph. He's been to the playoffs. A lot of those guys have been to the playoffs, and they're trying to develop our guys into players to where when we get in the playoffs, they don't just turn it in, you know.
So does Yamamoto, is he bad? Is that why did we cut him?
I know you were pretty high on Yamamoto when we made the trade.
Yeah. I think it was overall just a bad contract, and we just didn't want to deal with it. But yeah, I don't know. Yzerman is clearly way smarter than me. He saw something and just, yeah.
On that note, Brad Holmes isn't smarter than me. Fuck that guy for what he did this year.
He's talking about the draft, not overall Brad Holmes.
Yeah. Just how he managed the 2023 NFL draft.
And if you guys didn't know, Brody was not the biggest fan of the 2023 NFL draft.
If you didn't know, you just found out.
He made that pretty clear in the last episode. Go check that out.
No.
So now on to our defense.
You're going to bring Jalen Carter to the
We
You're
got.
going to bring Jalen Carter, the guy who can't stop going 120 miles an hour in his car, to the Motor City.
Absolutely.
All right. I mean, he is the Henry Ruggs advocate, so.
I honestly think Detroit is a good fit for Jalen Carter.
Okay.
Honestly, I know he's being sarcastic. If you get a coach like Dan Campbell, I honestly would trust him to straighten out a guy like Jalen Carter.
Honestly.
And I will say, and I do have some inside information that Jalen Carter did choke out one of his teammates and throw him through a wall over a girl at Georgia. So, that's the kind of guy that you want in your locker room, right? He's gonna bring a veteran presence.
Yeah, high motor guy.
High motor guy.
Get it?
Yeah.
All right. Back onto the Red Wings. I think our top half of our defense, much like the top half of the offense, is very solidified. Moritz Seider, Ben Sherratt, and then Oli Mata. And Shane Goss is there now. So
Oli Mata and Goss, are they going to be a pair?
I believe so.
Who's the guy we just...
That top four is dirty. That is the
It's
best
disgusting.
top four defensive pair we've had in 10 years.
And then
Who's the guy we waived that cleared waivers and is back now?
Zadina.
Zadina.
I'm very happy he cleared waivers. I wasn't sure if he was going to. I know me and Brody really like him.
Is he that bad? Or...
We have hopes.
He's just
Like a project guy? Is he like Killian Hayes?
We drafted him to be a goal scorer, but he's just been injured, and I think Ken Holland did a terrible job like developing him.
Okay.
So
he's kind of like a Killian Hayes type guy.
Why
Sure.
would you bring Mike Babcock back?
Because he's
He's with Columbus. Actually.
yeah, and he was in a scandal.
Congratulations.
What scandal was that again?
I'm pretty sure he was in a scandal for sexually assaulting players. So
Players.
or I don't know, or not, maybe not sexually assaulting, but like assaulting.
We don't discriminate on this Four Corners Sports podcast.
Anyway, back to the Red Wings. Once Edvinson gets healthy, I would love to see him back in the lineup, but he's just hurt right now. So
When is he supposed to get fully healthy?
not sure, to be honest. But Justin Holl will see time in the meantime. Yeah, I know we're all very excited about that. And then Jake Wallman, I think he's a fan favorite. I think he's going to stay in the lineup to round out the defensive core.
Who's Seider's pairing? Oh, it's Sherratt. I think
Sherratt.
he's going to start off the year with Wallman's.
Probably.
So Sherratt and Hole is the
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta.
So now,
We got like a really good pairing. It's like when you have the first pick in gym class. It's like when you have the first pick in gym class and you have you and you draft your friend, but you have to wait so long and you draft like the two fat kids. That's Sherratt and Hole. That's
yeah. So now, guys that I think could fill in the roster if like injuries or trades happen. You have Gustav Lindstrom, who just signed to like a league minimum. I really like him.
yeah. So do I.
And then I think our next up would be who's the guy we drafted? Axel. Yeah, I think that'd be the next guy up. I mean, obviously, assuming what he does in training camp. I mean, Wallander, maybe. I like him too. I'm another Swedish guy. We have a lot of Swedes on this team. But yeah, Wallander or Axel, I think could be the next two up. Both Swedes. And then goalies, I'm very upset we didn't bring back Ned, especially with the way he ended the season. But we're going to have Huso, who also looked very well, or very good for some of the season, but also looked terrible, but he didn't have the best defense in front of him.
He played worse when he was injured.
And he did play through some injuries, and that he did look really bad during that time. But then James Reimer, he's been through the league, very capable backup. And then in the AHL, Alex Lyon, love him. He could come up at a time and really just take over, honestly.
That's a high upside swing at goalie, which I'm all in on.
Yeah, and then you just got to have hopes for Kosa as well. He's going to spend a lot more time in Grand Rapids this year.
Is he gonna start there?
Probably not. It's probably going to be Lyon. But he's going to see more time than what he did because he did Grand Rapids, but he was also in the ECHL a lot.
He absolutely dominated the ECHL.
Yes, he was crazy in the ECHL. I mean, which to an NHL standard isn't anything really, but I'm hoping to see a lot. Yeah, I'm being an optimist. I'm hoping to see a lot better things out of him this year. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for us.
I got a quick question. Last year we finished with 83 points, I believe. What's your prediction this year?
My prediction is in the high 90s. Actually, I think so. I mean, I think a lot of people forget wins are worth 2 points, and it only takes 5 games to get to there, or 5-6 games to get.
5 games would get us to
Yeah.
83.
Anyway,
6 would get us to mid-90s.
whatever. It just won't take as many games to get there. But this team's a lot better in all sides, depth, forwards wise, and more complete defensively. Goalie, we still Huso's still very solid. Like I said, Reimer.
Better than last year.
Yeah, literally every single position group is better than last year's, and I don't see a reason why we won't win high 90s.
Daniel Lalonde has another year of experience as a head coach. I think the reasons I don't see us winning 90 game or getting high 90s points, the reason I think that's a little high, we still don't have that elite guy offensively yet. If Raymond takes that jump, I'm in. But I don't really know if that's going to happen, if he's going to take that goal-scoring jump. And my biggest question is the competition in the conference, specifically the division. We know how tough it is. The 4th best team in our division made the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And the Sabres, they kind of owned us last year.
Yeah.
Senators kind of owned us last year. They out-physicaled the shit out of us. The Canadiens aren't that bad. It's really hard to win in Montreal. So I could see us dropping some games in the division that are going to be pretty crucial.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But, yeah, the East in general is just miles better than the West. And I think where we're going to separate ourselves is in those Western games. I think we split a lot of the games in the East, find some games we win that we probably shouldn't, lose some games that we should win but don't. But I think where we're going to separate ourselves is non-conference games in the West because there's just a huge drop-off in talent in the West. So, yeah, I expect a better year for the Wings and really all Detroit sports.
Do you think we take that step up as a team when we play games that we shouldn't win? You don't get that happens in the NHL. You just get outplayed. Do you think we take the step up as a team that we can sneak out a point in those games? We're not looking for wins, but just sneak out a point, come out of the game with a point, stay alive. And do you think high 90s would get us in the playoffs?
And so I believe to your first point, yes. I mean, you look at a lot of the games we had last year. A lot of games went into overtime, or in games that probably shouldn't have. I think we find ways to win more of those games, just because of our depth, and we're able to roll 4 lines in those situations and not just have to rely on our top 6. Yeah. And then to your second point, that's very debatable because it just depends on how the rest of our division does. Like we brought up before, the East is by far the hardest conference, and really the we're not in the Metro, we're the Pacific. No,
we're in the Atlantic.
We're in the Atlantic. I think the Atlantic is the best of the 4 divisions too. So it really just depends on how the rest of our division does. I'm gonna say no, but we're not gonna be on the outside looking in, looking at like a like a third.
Out at 8.
Yeah.
So 9, 10 seed. So like just out.
Yeah, we'll probably be just out, but with our pick, we'll probably be at about 13, 14, 15 area. And then we'll see the year after we will make the playoffs.
Triple-digit wins.
Yeah, triple-digit points, and then making the playoffs.
Yeah, the Atlantic Division is kind of like if you take like the AFC West, replace the Raiders with like the Steelers, and replace the Broncos with like the Ravens. So it's pretty much.
What
like
about
a mix of
the
AFC
AFC and NFC East? Those are pretty stacked divisions. No.
The AFC East is pretty good. The NFC East, no.
Just the top 2 teams.
Not like Atlanta. Yeah,
Yeah.
They're just better than everybody else. They still have their middle tier team and their bad team. They're still good, but not like the Atlantic Division.
Right. All right, you guys have anything else to add? Christian, thanks for coming on, talking about the UFC and adding your comments when you did. So yeah, I think we did a better job this time. We're keeping it shorter. I think we brought you guys maybe similar amounts of content. Keep an eye out for the shorts and maybe a highlights video after. Follow the Instagram and TikTok, and be ready for this upcoming Sunday. We'll have another one noon again. No, not noon, but it will be on Sunday. So just keep your eyes out for that.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great rest of your. Hope you had a great 4th. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Any last words, Christian?
It was an honor, and I love you all.
All right. See you guys.